Frontiers, welcome and good morning. Thank you so much for being with us today, for taking time out of your busy schedule, and for bringing that joy and enthusiasm. I have seen so many happy faces floating around the venue today, and I think it's fair to say the atmosphere in here is truly electric. And you know what? Woo, yeah, it's only going to get bigger and better because we have a jam-packed, entertaining, interactive, energetic, what other words beginning with a vowel? Most importantly, fun day ahead for everyone here. My name is Ash.
And I'm Louis, and we are your guides for the event today. We're here to kind of give you an idea of where to go, what to do, and just look after you for the rest of the day. So,
what have we got in store?
Well, we have keynotes from the Slack team. They're all down the front here. We have Stuart and Tamar and Cal and Pip and Stuart, not that one, another Stuart, who are all here to share really what's going on, innovations that are driving or that Slack are driving, efficiencies and productivities for all of the most resilient companies in this new economy. I'm super excited. Then later on today, we've got our TED luminaries, not one, but two fabulous TED speakers who are here. From David Moinasenge and Faweza Farhan, and I, for one, can't wait to hear from them later on today too. So Ash, aside from what's going on in this room with all of the Stuarts, what else have we got ongoing today?
I'm sure there's some more Stuarts sitting around here today as well. So we want today to be all about you, which is why we want you to customize your day to suit your business and industry needs. We recognize everyone's come here with a different objective and agenda. So we have sessions taking place out to the left in our sugar rooms, all the way from retail to banking. But maybe you're sitting there thinking, I want to have my say. If so, we've got collaborative roundtables taking place throughout the day. Everything from how to use Slack for service to how to build a transparent culture in this hybrid working world. They will be on your content guide, so make sure to check that out for everything that you want to see, but I would be mindful these are first come, first serve, so check that out, highlight or earmark whatever one that you want to attend and make sure you're there ready to go.
Now, as important as all the content is today, possibly more important, lunch. That's at midday, and that'll be outside, and that's a fabulous time for you to go and check out some sessions that are also going throughout the lunch break, but also check out the Slack showcase and figure out how to make the most out of your digital HQ. Having seen the menu, the lunch looks really quite delicious, so I'm excited. Now, Ash, is there anything else we should think about before we get things going?
Yes, here at Slack, we love feedback, almost as much as we love using our own product. So make sure to scan the QR code following each survey to let us know how we're doing, and we would really appreciate that. But you can also scan the QR code to join Slack's workspace today, specifically Frontiers. It's an opportunity to connect with your peers, have conversations, talk to the Slack team, and get all your questions answered there. So please do check that out, scan the QR code.
We will keep reminding you about the survey and the QR code all day, so do please forgive us. Consider this your very first reminder. But with that, I think that's it for us for now.
Let's do this!
What if these past few years, things were all turned around, and instead of our offices, our software shut down? We'd have no way to share. We'd get nothing done. We'd be doomed, pretty much. You, me, everyone. But that didn't happen. Our businesses grew because we all worked in Slack, our digital HQ. It's the one place that's any place, wherever you're at, where you can work smarter and faster, like that. You can chat in a huddle, share ideas with clips, and if you've got questions, join channels for tips. You can automate workflows, connect partners and teams, make your customers happy, add in tools, and build dreams. So what happens next? The best part of the ride. Now there's no barriers. This HQ's worldwide. Across workspaces and time zones, we'll unite everyone based on shared purpose and getting things done. So let's channel success. Let's move forward, not back, and achieve the impossible in our digital HQ. Slack, where the future works.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Slack's co-founder and CEO, Stuart Butterfield.
God, is that really what I look like? I can see the smile is right, but the eyes are so squinty. Hello, thank you all so much for being here. I I hope it is a great day. The program is pretty fantastic, and I hope that all of you get a chance to meet with some of your peers, hopefully colleagues, friends, because I think the sharing of ideas and techniques is incredibly important for people getting the most out of Slack. So I want to start by noting a little bit of a belated anniversary. It's been a year and a quarter since the acquisition of Slack by Salesforce, and it's been a pretty good year. And I think there's a lot of innovation. It's obviously been very good for the business, which is good for us, but indirectly good for all of you, because it means more standardization on Slack, more developers on the platform developing great applications and integrations. And it means more and more investment. And I think that investment has showed up on the Salesforce side, most recently with things like CDP and Genie, so a lot of exciting announcements at Dreamforce. But looking more narrowly just at Slack, it's been 8.5 years since we launched, and those of you who are in software development, and probably most aspects of product development, know this feeling of time is limited, you can only do so much, you get something out there, and you get some feedback, and it just creates all this ambition to do more. And usually, you feel like you're getting perpetually behind, like there's so much more, sorry about this, so much more that you could do, and so much more feedback that you get from people that you can't possibly get to all of it. In Slack's case, I don't know that we'll get to all of it, but it does feel like this is the culmination of so many years of investment in infrastructure and basic technology and features. So it's a really exciting time, and hopefully a really exciting time for all of you. I don't know if we want to do something about the audio. What do you think? Jolly good.
Thank you. All right. So I have a pretty simple message. 3 points. One, that this is a time of real opportunity, and I think that requires kind of continual input of energy from all of you inside of your organizations to make sure the potential is realized. The second one is that we're uniquely well positioned to help you take advantage of that opportunity. And third one is that together we can deliver enormous value to you and then to your customers. So here is a detailed visualization I have made of all of history. I'm actually like a little bit of a history buff or student of the history of technology, and it's been really fascinating. When you look at the kind of long arc, the 1960s were the first wave of digitization and computerization of back office processes and things like invoicing, financial services. 1970s, the kind of proliferated throughout different corporate organizations with proliferation of mainframes. In the 1980s, we got PCs. In the 1990s, we got graphical user interfaces. 2000s, the internet started spreading everywhere. 2010s, we got smartphones. And when you get to now, if you were to draw charts independently of the dollars spent per employee per year by companies on software, the number of minutes people spend using software per day, the average number of vendors of software for any particular customer, all those charts would be like very much up and to the right. So it's a very special time, and it's the realization of a lot of investment and innovation that happened in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. But obviously, there's also something else special about right now. And this is one that's really interesting to me because if you've ever read any speculative fiction where there's alternate timelines and you imagine what would have happened if the other side won the war or something like that, we're kind of in one of those. Like we did get shifted off into the alternate timeline, a set of events that I don't think any of us predicted, and even if we were able to predict them, the consequences would be very difficult to predict. But I want to emphasize the opportunity by thinking about a little bit of a thought experiment. So if you imagine the other or another timeline, and in this timeline, this universe, it's March of 2020, and we can all continue to work in offices, we can all continue to commute, use conference rooms, business travel is okay, dinners, meet with our customers, but you took away all the software, I think every organization would just disintegrate in 24 hours. Like they would disappear and cease to exist. And of course, that's not what happened. What actually happened, and I don't want to understate the impact, especially of the early days of the pandemic, of like the people being afraid of the health consequences, of the economic impact, and it's a pretty scary time. But most organizations survived that. In fact, many really thrived. And it's an interesting contrast because we weren't able to go into the office, we weren't able to travel for work or use conference rooms or any of those things. So at some point in the last 30 or 40 years, the relative importance of the physical HQ kind of inverted, and the digital HQ become much more important. So we say digital HQ, but it just means the digital infrastructure that supports productivity and collaboration, that set of systems and tools and processes that allowed organizations to continue to work and continue to thrive through this period. And when we talk about a digital HQ, I think at this point it should be clear that's not like a nice to have, but it's not even a must have. It's something that every organization actually does have and could be doing so much more. And I think this is a really interesting thing to think about. As an executive, I spend approximately 100% of my time at work on communication. So it's one-on-one conversations, reading and writing messages, being in meetings, preparing documents or presentations, sitting through other people's presentations. Almost every manager is in the same position. And even if you look throughout your company, for the people who spend the least amount of time on communication, it's still going to be 30 or 40%. So this is what most people are doing most of the time. And if you're like us, especially in the early days, there's very little commitment to training people to become more effective communicators, to run more effective meetings, despite the fact that that's what we're spending almost all of our time on. And I think with the realization that our work is largely powered by the digital HQ, and with the realization that that's much, to use a metaphor, much easier to renovate than the physical issue, much easier to experiment with, much easier to improve, we all could be doing much more. So I guess the message, if I could sum it up there, is that we should be dreaming big, and we should be continually pushing the boundaries and experimenting, because there are real opportunities for improvement. And I don't feel like the window is quite closing yet, but against the backdrop of so much change, people are willing to tolerate a lot more change. So this is really a great moment to do that. So I said Slack and Salesforce are uniquely well positioned to help you seize that opportunity. And here's kind of the view for all of Slack put together, every Slack customer. It's around 25 million people, an hour and a half a day of active usage, so like reading and writing messages and uploading files and commenting in threads and things like that. 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, 9.375 billion hours a year of human attention that's aggregated into Slack. And let's be generous and round that to 10 billion. If you think about the kinds of companies that are customers of Slack, so these ones, the leaders in retail, in technology, in media, increasingly in financial services, and healthcare, and manufacturing, they're important, significant companies. And so if you imagine a couple £100,000 a year of revenue per employee and that hour and a half a day, those hours are very valuable, a couple $100. So there's something like $1 or $2 trillion of the world's GDP that's directly mediated by Slack. Inside of each of these companies, inside of each of your companies, that benefit exists as well, that aggregation of attention. And I think it's easiest to understand that when you contrast it to email. So if you look at this woman, she's quite unhappy. There's a lot of email. To be fair, there are also a lot of Slack messages. But there's an important difference here. With email, each of us has our own individual view of things. It's totally different and distinct and actually cut off from everyone else. Everyone has their own partial, fragmented, incomplete view of what's going on. And if you change things, take all those email messages and make them messages inside of Slack, and critically put them inside of channels, now you have a channel for everything that's important inside the company. You have a place for everyone to go to ask their question, to give their update, to get caught up in things. And that makes a really profound difference. Ultimately, the kind of organization of channels inside of any one of your Slack instances creates a structure that mirrors the priorities of the organization. And that might mean every customer, every office, every business unit, location, every project, feature, initiative that you're working on, every sale. And that's incredibly important, because then when you think about the additions to Slack over time, so this is Huddles and Clips, which we launched in the last year, those go right into channels. So you can just start a huddle in any group direct message, in any channel, and just the right combination of people are able to see it. I think Clips is one of my favorite features because one of the things we realized early in the pandemic was any work that today must be synchronous that we can make asynchronous instead creates a real advantage. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but when you upload a clip instead of having a meeting, you not only get a transcript of the speech, you do speech to text, but that's indexed for search, so you can find it again later. It's available to everyone in the channel, and then you can do my favorite trick, which is open the transcript, scroll through to an interesting part, click on it, and you just jump to that point in the video. But the point is really that with that attention and with that structure, you have the perfect place to deliver messages. You have this real surface area that's incredibly important. And here's a bunch of numbers about the impact that it has in various contexts. But I think it's much broader. Here, this is very focused on sales, but the impact is there for accountants closing the books for the quarter. The impact is there for benefits administration. The impact is there for finance and legal and engineering and every part of the company. So the last point here, together we can deliver enormous value for you and your customers, probably does a little bit better with a demonstration. And we have not really public speaking competitions inside the company, but kind of friendly events. And I'm very proud to introduce the winner of the Best Stewart Award for Most Dynamic and Interesting Presenter, Stuart Templeton.
I wish I'd known about that in advance. I could have thought of something clever to say. But nonetheless, thank you very much indeed, Stuart, and thank you to all of you for joining us today, of course. I'm thrilled that Slack Frontiers is back in London for the first time since the pandemic. And as Stuart mentioned, so much has changed in the world since then. If we cast our mind back to then, broadly speaking, our organizational goals were consistent. They revolved around growth. But today, in these more uncertain times, whilst growth remains a company goal, of course it does, and organizations continue to seek to attract and retain more customers, they're doing so with a greater lens on organizational efficiency. And that is fundamentally the balance that companies are looking to strike today. So, I didn't click through to the next slide. That is the balance that companies are seeking to strike today. The Dynamic Presentation Award was clearly a joke. That is organizational efficiency and growth. Okay, nonetheless. So with that context set, let me take just a few minutes to look at just 3 ways in which Slack helps companies to address this new dynamic. First up, attracting and retaining more customers, clearly a growth lever, and it's very much about building long-term, trusted, productive relationships with customers. And Stuart spoke a moment or so ago about the power of channels. Well, with Slack Connect, we empower our customers to extend this new way of working outside of the boundaries of their organization to really deliver trusted, successful, outstanding relationships with their customers. But in actual fact, as Stuart hinted, any type of employee uses Slack Connect, and indeed any line of business. Finance with accounting or accountancy firms, as Stuart said. IT with their vendors, facilities with their office contractors. But from a growth point of view, and if I think about myself as a sales leader, I use Slack Connect to do exactly that, to connect to my customers. And perhaps historically, the litmus test, if you like, of a great customer relationship was whether I was on WhatsApp or text terms with a customer. Fast forward to today, the gold standard is absolutely being in Slack with your customer, being in Slack channels, moving work forwards in a safe and secure space. It results in 60% faster customer response times. So productivity is fundamentally unlocked when you bring your customers into your digital headquarters. Already, 77% of the Fortune 100 and over 100,000 Slack customers are using Slack Connect. Companies like Stripe, their sales team working with their customers, moving their opportunities and their deals forward. They're benefiting, or they're creating more meaningful, trusted relationships, but they're also benefiting from that speed of 60% faster response times, which I just spoke about. So moving on, number 2, Slack also accelerates customer success. It supercharges the value that customers get from the Salesforce Customer 360. And when I first joined Salesforce, it was back in 2006, and Salesforce was broadly a single product company. Fast forward today, the Customer 360 connects the whole organization. Sales, service, marketing, commerce, analytics, IT, the whole organization is now connected to the customer. At Dreamforce, we recently launched Salesforce Genie, the world's first real-time CRM. So now you can create in-moment data into the Customer 360 and, of course, into Slack to really provide amazing experiences for your customer. And today, organizations can't imagine being successful without the full power of the Customer 360. They also can't imagine being successful without Slack. And hence, very importantly, we have integrated the Customer 360 from sales to service to marketing to analytics to commerce to Genie. We've integrated that into Slack to really unlock greater success for our customers. And the reason that that is so important, and the reason that we're seeing such significant performance gains across all lines of business, is that sales, service, marketing, analytics, commerce, etc., they're team sports. So we're bringing the power of that Customer 360 into a single engagement layer, Slack, the digital headquarters. And it's really there that we're able to accelerate customer success and indeed deliver on increased team efficiency. And that efficiency, so important as we spoke about in that balance where you couldn't see that amazing piece of slide work, is that efficiency is thanks to the integrations that have already been delivered right across the Customer 360 and therefore have already been delivered right across the customer lifecycle. So that now your customer-facing teams are aligned in Slack channels with the right customer-facing data, sales opportunities, leads, marketing campaigns, analytics, etc. So that the right information is at your team's fingertips right when they need it. And the results that our customers are seeing are pretty profound. 16% faster time to market, 26% decrease in customer support case resolution time, and 28% increase in sales productivity. And if I put my own hat on as a sales leader, I'm naturally curious about those productivity numbers from a sales point of view. So let's take a brief look at the digital HQ for sales. Many things can sadly slow down a sales team. Finding the right experts internally, getting deals approved, getting admin tasks done. Well, with Slack integrated to Sales Cloud, we take that friction away from sales teams. We connect sales teams to the right customer insights at the right times so that they can now focus on building relationships with their customers, leading to 27% higher win rates. Through the automations and the efficiencies coming from the integrations, we are delivering faster sales cycles, 15% faster. And customers can benefit from that speed that I talked about earlier, 60% faster customer response times using Slack Connect. Thirdly, just as we've shown with the Customer 360, we can bring those efficiencies to every employee in your organization across every single application in the entire enterprise ecosystem, of which businesses have a lot. The average enterprise now has over 1,000 business applications in its estate. That's a lot of information silos. It's a lot of context switching. And whether that application sits around the sales process, like DocuSign or HighSpot, or whether it's an HR tool or a file sharing tool, these applications can be brought into your digital headquarters. We have over 2,500 already pre-integrated into Slack, so that the right information or the right people have access to the right information, apps, workflows across your entire application portfolio. So for me as a sales leader, it means that I can go from reviewing an update to a big sales opportunity coming from Sales Cloud. I can approve a quote in CPQ, Salesforce CPQ. I can then send the customer the quote via DocuSign. I can then approve somebody's holiday in Workday, all without leaving Slack, all without any context switching. So we started the conversation talking about that balance and how companies need to strike that balance today. And we're really proud of the results that we can deliver to companies like Autodesk, Intuit, Sonos, IBM, DocuSign. They're seeing 29% time saved, huge efficiency gains through process automation. They're seeing 49% more productive teams. And perhaps most importantly, in today's uncertain times, they're able to realize certainty of value. Customers implement Slack in weeks or months, and they see a positive ROI in 10 months or less. Excuse me. So, those customers that are realizing value come in all shapes and sizes, all industries. As Stuart mentioned, we've got tens of millions of users across over 200,000 brands. Companies from Sainsbury's to Ford, NASA to BNP Paribas. And those customers look to us to strike that balance, to help them deliver increased operational efficiencies, whilst also keeping a strong eye on growth and attracting and retaining customers. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to hearing from one of those customers now, from Revolut. Revolut is on a mission to unlock the power of the borderless economy for all of us. And to get us started, I'm delighted to introduce you to our Senior Vice President of EMEA. Please give Pip White a very warm welcome.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Pip White, and I lead the Slack team here in EMEA. I'm really delighted to be here with you today in London. Can you believe our first in-person gathering since 2019? And since then, of course, plenty has changed. We had, as Stuart said, a global pandemic that proved employees and businesses did not need to get chained to the office to get work done. And we saw digital transformation programs make massive strides across the board. We even saw an England football team win a tournament, and of course it was our women who made that happen. But throughout it all, Slack has helped businesses throughout the UK, through Europe, and indeed globally build their digital HQs so they can break down silos, they can embrace flexibility, and they can accelerate work regardless of where or how they work. And we are very humbled and proud to say that more than 40% of the FTSE 100, 65% of the DAX 40, and 75% of the CAC 40 are paid Slack customers. Many of Europe's most successful companies, biggest innovators and biggest disruptors, including Deliveroo, Sainsbury's, News Corp and Trivago, rely on Slack to run their business. And personally, I find it so inspiring to be able to hear firsthand their incredible stories. And so I'm delighted to be joined by one of the most innovative and disruptive companies in Europe today, who are also a fantastic Salesforce customer, Revolut, who will share how they're using Slack as their own digital HQ. So please join me in welcoming to stage Matthew Acton-Davis, who is the VP of Global Sales for Revolut.
Great, thanks, Pip.
Thanks, Matt. It's wonderful to have you here today. Welcome to Frontiers Europe in
Brilliant,
London.
great to be here. Thanks very much.
So Revolut's on this incredible growth journey at the moment, and we're excited to hear more through this discussion. Also about your journey as a Salesforce customer and how you're using Slack as your own digital HQ. Maybe first you can tell us a little bit about Revolut and about your own role as leading global sales.
Sure. And just before we start, can I take a quick show of hands how many Revolut users we have in the room?
Oh, pretty good.
Wonderful.
Pretty good.
So it should be a fairly friendly reception to this. Thanks very much. So I joined Revolut about 2.5 years ago, ultimately when sales was just a blank piece of paper with sales at the top. And we've been growing the sales organization pretty aggressively ever since, covering all of the features that we have available. But Revolut was founded in 2015 really to solve a key problem that many users were potentially facing, i.e. that they were being charged an absolute fortune for currency exchange when they sent money home or when they visited their friends and family abroad. And so Nick and Vlad, the co-founders, set up the business in order to solve this key problem. Since then, we've been growing the amount of features that are available within the retail application, and we've now got everything from crypto, equities, lifestyle products, as well as lots of other things on the roadmap. And we've got about 20 million users now that we're working with in order to kind of optimize their financial life cycles. Many of you, may be aware of the retail proposition, but less so aware of the B2B proposition, so Revolut Business that we have. And we've got about 500,000 businesses now that we're working with. And again, working from a financial super app perspective to cover all of the parts of the value chain that they require from a product perspective. So covering things like FX, payments, FX forwards, but then also things like merchant acquiring and products like on-demand pay that allow employees to access their salary on a daily basis. I think from a strategic perspective, and what's most interesting about Revolut at the moment is that we've got 20 million users on the retail side, and we've got about 500,000 businesses on the business side. And in most financial institutions, these two groups of customers don't often communicate. Whereas with Revolut, we're building more of a platform where through product linkages, these customers can communicate via Revolut. So if we're thinking on the acquiring side, Revolut customers can buy products off Revolut business clients via Revolut Pay. On the payroll side, Revolut business clients can pay their employees. So with on-demand pay, they can access their salary on a daily basis or via payroll. And then from an ads perspective and growth for these merchants and businesses, we have an ads product that allows businesses to create ads that are then marketed to our retail base. And our retail customers are getting the benefit of this from a savings perspective. And so, we're moving more away from being two disparate groups of customers to being a platform where these customers can communicate.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for that. And you're leading a large distributed global sales organization. We were comparing notes earlier in the prep, and one that has scaled quickly over the past few years. You actually said you were the first sales rep on the floor. Could you tell us a little bit more about how the team and how Slack has enabled you to kind of build on board and scale that team over the past couple of years?
Yeah, of course. So, we launched sales in April 2020, so right at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. And we have onboarded almost 1,000 salespeople now globally within Revolut. So all of these people are onboarding in a remote aspect. And Slack has been fundamental in our ability to do so and building this remote HQ in the way that the previous presenters have explained. We've built SMB teams. We've built large customer sales teams focusing on more enterprise customers. We've hired account managers to manage the active relationships that we have with our clients. And we've built a product sales executive team to optimize for product activation as well. And so if you think onboarding all of these 1,000 employees globally throughout Europe and the US is incredibly difficult. So one example of how Slack has enabled us to support this. So we have a new joining cohort every 2 weeks with almost 100 or so people in every cohort at this point. And we build these Slack channels for these cohorts of new joiners so that they can build a culture, they can build their kind of well-being and connections with their peers that they're working with. Because in reality, sales is an emotional role at the best of times. And if you're working on a fully remote basis, you need to have these connections with your teams that you're starting with. And so we really try and push our culture through the Slack channels that we create.
Yeah, fantastic. Just talking a little bit now about the current macroeconomic climate. We know that doing more with less is crucial right now, and you are a leader of a distributed sales team. How is Slack helping you sort of improve operational efficiency and productivity within your own organization?
Yeah, so given the macroeconomic climate, we've had to reevaluate our growth model, and there's been a renewed focus on ROI, clearly. So we've built a robust ROI framework with a view to kind of optimizing for the increased ROI that we need, and this allows us to unlock further headcount from a hiring perspective. So in order to do that, we need to focus on sales enablement and making sure that all of our sellers are participating as strongly as possible and with the tools that they can use. And so in order to do this, we need to make sure that we're gathering as much information from our sellers so that we can optimize our training process. And we've built a custom workflow within Slack that allows salespeople to raise questions that they have in relation to product or process or even just general sales skills. And we use the feedback from this workflow to feed into our sales enablement process so that we can then adjust it in an iterative way. Another interesting use case from Slack that we have is that we've built a custom workflow again in its own dedicated channel for any questions that customers have in relation to fin crime processes or product bugs. And so we can then kind of categorize these product issues or fin crime issues. And so the salespeople can spend less time dealing with operational problems and more time focusing on sales. And then ultimately, the next goal for us, we're still working on this, right, is to conflate and centralize all of these various different workflows that we have together. So there's one single point of escalation and one single point of truth for all of these customer issues that our sellers and our customers have.
Yeah, fantastic stories there. Thanks, Matt. Revolut's also using core Salesforce products such as Sales Cloud. How do you see that Slack and Salesforce tools working together to drive even greater productivity and also operational efficiency?
Yeah, I mean, so we're a relatively recent customer of Salesforce. We launched our instance of Salesforce this April, actually, and we've been launching products and doing product development in a phased approach so that we can increase, get the teams used to the systems that they're working with. And so for us, the three key areas that we look for when we were choosing a CRM were, firstly, customization. We need to make sure that, given the 20 features that we have within Revolut Business, that the opportunity process is completely customized for our instance of Salesforce. We then have automation. So using Salesforce's sales engagement products and things like Einstein Activity Capture to make sure that we can reconcile all of the emails that our sales reps are sending to customers, and so they're not spending time doing process work. That's all reconciled automatically. And thirdly, integration, which is key with Slack and also with Salesforce in general. So there's a huge array of partner applications, and this third-party network is fantastic. But we've also built a really detailed integration with our back-office environment so that sellers can spend less time focusing on, again, operational processes and more time dealing with customers.
Yeah.
And I think from a Slack perspective, we're really excited about the next steps on this detailed integration that we have with Slack and Salesforce. And so we're looking to integrate our customer onboarding process, our fin crime teams, within our Slack and Salesforce integration so that we can really focus on this and to use the Salesforce in Customer 360 as opposed to focusing on the kind of the Revolut processes.
We've got you talking the language now.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
great,
trying.
And in certain times, having strong alignment from all the way through the organization is probably most important right now. Has Slack helped you prioritize, drive alignment, generate energy, and provide clarity in your org? You talked a bit about cultural building as well. Maybe a bit more about that would be great.
I mean, I think, during the coronavirus pandemic, we've all, faced the need to move into more of an asynchronous working environment. And it's been a struggle for all of us, but I think we should be realistic. It's been a step change for most businesses. In addition, we have a tendency to stack video calls on top of video calls, which is a highly inefficient way of working. And in fact, we recently did an analysis. For every half-hour all-hands call that we have within the sales function, we lose about 10 weeks of sales time. So there's a clear need to move away from to move to asynchronous
Making me
work.
feel a bit nervous as a sales leader.
In addition, we work in a highly distributed manner, so we've got sales team members based all over the world, from Australia, Singapore, through to India, and even down to San Francisco. And so simply from a time zone perspective, we need to push into this asynchronous working process. And so Slack has been fundamental. It's almost table stakes at this point in order to enable us to do so.
Yeah.
And then from a product perspective, we're really excited for Slack Canvas that was announced recently at Dreamforce.
Yeah, we're going to hear more about that soon.
Specifically for our large customer sales segment, where we need to drive cross-functional alignment between, say, for example, BD, legal, when we're negotiating these large customer deals, so that there's a single point of truth for all of these conversations, and so we're all aware of what we're working on. I think this will be fundamental in changing the way we work.
Yeah, fantastic. Finally, what's one piece of advice you have for perhaps the other leaders in the room now looking to use Slack to empower their teams and boost productivity?
Yeah, so I mean, when I joined Revolut, I came from an organization that didn't use Slack. So we were solely relying on internal email communications. And it was a little bit of a difficult start for me because I wasn't familiar with Slack and the process that we use in order to communicate internally. But I remember I was working on the product launch for our FX Forwards proposition in the UK. And we were working with legal, with fin crime, with treasury, in order to build the product from scratch. And this was, working in a remote way. And so there was almost this light bulb moment for me. You know, we couldn't have done it during the coronavirus pandemic without having a platform like Slack in order to communicate and align about the launch of this product. And we have new starters, you know, today who, you know, I'm surprised by this, that they're not familiar with Slack. You know, I occasionally get emails from them with kind of weekly updates. And I say, no, look, guys, you know, look at Slack, try and use this, try and adopt our processes. And like for them, you can see this light bulb moment when they're suddenly like, aha, this works, this is brilliant. And so, you know, in a sense, the value of the product is clear. It's there, everyone can see it. So you just need to drive increased engagement with your teams so that everyone can get the maximum benefit from the product, you know, as we all know that we can.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Matt, so much for sharing how you think about the future of work. It's great to hear all your stories and the role that Slack's playing within that. Please give Matthew a big round of applause. Oh, can't get it. Thanks, Matt. Can get up off the chair then. Wow, that was so powerful. The future of work is really changing. And with that, I'd like to take the opportunity to invite Tamar Yehoshua, our Chief Product Officer at Slack, up to the stage to show how we think about the future of work.
Well, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Matt, for telling us about Revolut. It's exciting to see a customer that's embracing the future of work like Revolut is. But not all of our customers are doing that. Many of our customers are coming to us and asking us for help. They're asking us, how do we navigate this future of work? Are we going back to how we used to be? Are we going back to how we were before the pandemic? Well, if we step back for a second, I remember years ago, before the pandemic, I worked at Google, and I was in headquarters. And I managed a team that was across 7 different countries. And one day, I was visiting the team in India. And the engineering director came up to me, and he said, if a tree falls in India, will you hear it in headquarters? So were things working? I don't think they really were. But we didn't recognize it, and we weren't motivated to change. With the pandemic, we really felt that it wasn't working. And we were all motivated to make a change, where we had to onboard all of our employees in a remote way. So that's what the Digital HQ brings us. It brings us that understanding, as Stuart said, that we all have a Digital HQ. But we really need a Digital HQ to help with our information, our transparency, all of our communication. So why do you need Slack's Digital HQ? Well, it's because of the way we bring value to our customers. And we think of it in 3 different ways. We want to make what was really hard in the office better. We want to make what you loved in the office to bring that into the Digital HQ, things that you missed from the office, and we want to bring things that are unique to the Digital HQ. So if we start with making what was hard in the office better, this is the core of everything we do. Stuart talked about channels. Matt talked about how they use channels for all of their onboarding. Channels are the core of how you achieve this transparency of information, bringing people together to communicate in a more effective way. And then we have clips, the asynchronous way of communicating with video and audio. I love hearing new ways that people are using clips. I use clips for my top of minds. I use clips after Dreamforce. I send a clip to my team telling them about it. And when you do a video clip, it connects you with people more because it's not just a text message. You see their emotion. So every time I talk to a customer, I hear how they're using clips, and we see that people are using it more and more. We also have workflows. I had some examples I was going to talk about for our workflows, but I think Matt did a much better job than I could have. I loved his examples of how they're using workflows. Workflows are there to automate your work, to make everything easier, to bring information into Slack, to be able to make updates easier in your system of records, to be able to do your daily stand-ups. Workflows are so easy to use that anybody can build them to automate your processes. And then, of course, we have Slack Connect. So Slack Connect is a way of taking everything in Slack that's so powerful that you use internally and using that with your partners and vendors. And you can use things like workflows and clips and huddles across with your partners and vendors. So those are some of the things that are we're hard in the office, and we can make them better. But remember when we all first went remote, what was the thing you missed the most? You missed those serendipitous conversations in the office. I missed when Stuart would stop into my office at the end of the day and just say, how was your day? So that's why we created Huddles. Huddles is a lightweight way of communicating audio first in a DM or channel, so you simply can jump on a quick conversation. One of the really interesting things about Huddles is that the average time of a huddle is 10 minutes. Now think about when you schedule a meeting, you schedule it for 30 minutes, and you usually use all those 30 minutes. So we're making it more effective for people to communicate by cutting down the amount of time that they need to communicate. So next, what are we thinking that's going to be unique in the Digital HQ that you couldn't do easily in the office? Well, we announced earlier that we're adding co-working to Huddles, so adding video, dual screen sharing, effects, emojis into Huddles to make co-working easier and better. And this is rolling out to our customers now. But what else can we do to make it unique? Well, let me take a step back and remind you when we were in the office. And you probably had a board that was on the wall that listed things like your burn down list for bugs or the number of sales deals that you needed to close for the quarter. You might have had one board or multiple boards around your office. But was everyone on the same floor? There were probably people on different floors or different buildings or different locations, different countries. So not everybody could see that same board. You also wanted to update it. You wanted to update it automatically because somebody had to go and erase something and rewrite it or scratch it out. And wouldn't it be nice if you could update it in an automated way? You want to be able to take your information from your system of record and update that automatically so everyone could see it. Well, that's what Canvas is. Canvas is a way to do that. So what exactly is inside Canvas? Canvas has text, it has images that will preview nicely, it has files that you can link to, you can put external links in a Canvas, you can have an external link from Twitter, New York Times, YouTube, and if you have a video, you can play it right there in the Canvas. You could put links to channels and messages or Slack profiles into a Canvas. You can have workflows, so the same workflows that Matt talked about at Revolut, you can put in a Canvas and you can click on them from the Canvas so you can execute the workflow without ever leaving the Canvas or the channel. You can embed data from your system of record. You could have a Tableau database, a Tableau visualization right there in your Canvas. You could have data from Jira or from Figma or from Google Workspace right there in your Canvas without leaving it. And you can also comment on a Canvas. And now when you have comments in the Canvas, it's like a Slack thread. So all the functionality you have in a Slack thread, you have available right there in the Canvas. Now Canvas you can create and you can share it in a DM or a channel, or you can attach a channel. Every channel will have its own Canvas that's associated with it. So you have the real-time communication in the channel, and then you have attached the Canvas with your persistent layer of information in the Canvas. So you can use it for a lot of things. You can use it for onboarding new employees, for marketing campaigns, for executive briefings. And would you all like to see a demo? So I would like to invite Cal Henderson, our CTO and co-founder, to show us a demo.
Okay, thank you, Tamar. All right, so I'm starting a new job today. I just joined the Slack workspace here. I'm joining the sales team, and it looks like my manager has sent me a message, and they've sent me a canvas to help with my onboarding. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, it looks like I have a bit of a list of things that I need to get done today. Some tasks, a video, channels, the profiles in Slack of people I should meet with, training classes I should take, attached documents, presentations. All right, okay, so this is good. It's all bringing together into one place all of the different resources I need to get started. So I think I'm going to start at the top of the list. It seems pretty well structured. Request a corporate phone. So there's a button right here in the canvas. I can click it, and it launches a workflow in the context of what I'm looking at. I don't have to go anywhere else. I don't know. I'm going to try an Android phone this time. Let's give that one a go. And I'm going to be traveling. Just submit it. And it's done. I didn't need to leave the document. I didn't need to move into another system. I was able to get that done right in the context of what I'm doing. Like, I will dutifully cross it off. 1 out of 4 complete. All right, what else do I need to do today? I see they've shared a video here. And if I hit play,
what is Slack?
Oh, it's going to play that right in line. I think I will save that one until later. I don't think you all need to watch the whole video. But I can watch that right in line without leaving the document, right in the context of where I am. Now, I know that I'm going to need to be joining a lot of channels in this new Slack instance, and we have my company, my team here has team channels. They have a channel for each of the accounts, for each of the customers that I'm going to be associated with, and even uses Slack Connect to connect one of those customers for real high bandwidth, close relationship. And again, I have a button here. I can just click it, and I'm joined to all of those channels instantly. So it's a really fantastic way for me to onboard. Now, I see the last of my onboarding tasks this morning is that I'm going to have a customer meeting with Acme, one of my customers, on my first day. It's very bold. But I have a link right here in the document, sends me straight to the channel. OK, so we have a channel where we're bringing together the whole of the team that's managing this account. We have our sales team, our customer success, our engineering team, everybody coming together to be able to support this account. And I see the sales leader here has posted an update with some questions, and one of the product team has been able to respond with a response. Super helpful. Good job, Jen. So send her a little reaction. Whoops. And it looks like this channel also has a canvas attached to it that's persistently there and attached to the channel. It gives me context, who the sales team are, maybe some recent news articles about the customer, their live Sales Cloud data, so I understand what their usage is of the product, what their revenue opportunity is here, and this is pulling it live from our system of record. Fantastic, so I can learn all about the customer. And it looks like the team has actually started a huddle in this channel, so I'm going to go ahead and join the huddle.
Morning, Cal. Welcome to the meeting. We're huddling right now to get ready for the upcoming customer meeting.
All right. OK, so it looks like the whole team is here. Now, every huddle starts as audio only. It's a very lightweight way to have a conversation with your coworkers. But you can also switch to video. So let's give it a go. Hi, team.
Hey, Cal. We just wanted you to see a couple of the latest updates on the customer before we head in.
Awesome. How can I help?
Yeah, that would be great. We were actually just going over the customer account together and loved using Huddle's Canvas to do so. It's really great while co-working with the team.
Oh wow, there's a canvas attached right to the Huddle. So Alice, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so this is actually a canvas that we've created just for the briefing today to get you up to speed on the customer account.
Oh. All right, so it's all in one place. The whole customer briefing, bringing together all of the information that I need to see. Is that right?
Yep, that's what you're looking at. And I've also added a Slack message from the sales leader with context on why he wanted to have the customer meeting today.
I even added some YouTube videos from recent media interviews, as well as a Tableau dashboard showing the actual business growth right now.
Great. This is all the information I'm going to need for the meeting. And I also see the attendees from the customer. I have their profiles here, including their LinkedIn, so I'll be able to click through and find out more about them before the meeting. That looks fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, right. And we will actually, we're thinking about using the Digital HQ deck for this customer. I put the link to that actually in the thread of this huddle afterwards, but let me actually show you the presentation we are using.
Okay. All right. So it looks like we can screen share now in a huddle. And in fact, multiple people can screen share in a huddle at the same time. So you can have multiple people sharing screens just to make everything a little bit easier.
Hey, Cal, just a quick note. The customer wanted to learn a little bit more around Slack Connect.
OK, and I think now I know a bit more about this customer, I have a feeling that the thing that's really going to resonate with them is this stat. So we want to be sure to really focus in on that during the meeting.
Also, we've added some additional notes to the canvas, so make sure to check them out.
All right, let's let's go back and check that out. And I see, okay, yep, adding some extra notes with some next steps. They would like me to meet with this customer where they're at Frontiers this week. I think I can do that. That sounds great. I'd be very happy to meet with them. All right.
Perfect. Great. Well, thanks for being on the team, Cal.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fantastic meeting. I think the customer's really going to enjoy what we're going to say. So go team. Oh, how about that? So how many times have you been on an internal call and people have been sharing documents and decks and then I can't remember where they were, I don't have the link to it, what did we even talk about? But here, every huddle has a thread associated with it which contains all of the comments, discussion, and documents that were shared in that huddle, so I can easily find the deck that we were talking about to get back to. All right, that's just one example, but there are so many ways that you can use Canvas. You can use it to plan executive briefings like we just showed you. You can use it to onboard new hires, manage marketing campaigns, and really, we're right at the beginning of this journey of understanding how we and how our customers are going to be using Canvas. And I think our customers, you all are going to be using it in so many ways that we haven't even thought of yet. And I hope you're all as excited about the possibilities for Canvas as we are. And we're going to be bringing Canvas to you starting next year. Thank you.
Well, how about that then? Thank you so much to everybody in the Keynote team. It's just so fabulous seeing all of the new features in the product. For all of you in the audience, I really can't wait for you to start using Canvas. It's just really, really absolutely brilliant. We're using it internally for all sorts of things. And also, dual screen sharing in a huddle is at the moment, absolutely love that. So do get on that as soon as you possibly can.
Louis does love a chef's kiss emoji in Slack as well. Quick reminder to ping us your feedback via the survey link. Click the QR code. We love feedback, as I keep saying, and as we will keep reminding you. We will let you go for a short time before we're joined to understand how we can unlock the power of Salesforce in Slack. So we will see you shortly, and thank you so much.